Good evening, YouTube. This is Ty, your Metalhead Weatherman here. Hope you guys have had a good day or having a good evening right now. For those of you that end up watching this on the East Coast, I hope you guys are staying warm right now because, sheesh, it's cold, windy, very uncomfortable. You might you might even hear my space heater running in the background. Because even down here, as far south as Atlanta, it's below freezing right now. We got some pretty strong winds out there. It's not fun outside right now. So we're gonna be taking a look at the last little looks at Winter Storm Quinlan as it's exiting the Northeast and then the country altogether, heading out to the Atlantic. And we're also gonna take a look today at some of the upcoming weather in the weeks to come. So, also I want to say if you've been liking what you see here, please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Also spread the word. But without further ado, let's get into it. So we're actually going to take a look at the GFS model. We're going to take a look at the whole thing. We're going to look at all 384 hours of it. So right now we're looking at about late night hours, just about after midnight, I would say. The GFS, we still have snow going on in the East Coast, around New England, Vermont, and Maine. So we move on. So we're gonna move onward from here, and then late morning into early afternoon Sunday, a lot of places are either going to be left with flurries unless you're in the Great Lakes region. You have a little small scale little system here that's going to bring some flurries. It's going to dissipate quickly. So as we move on to Monday here, things are pretty quiet for the most part, but unless you're near the Great Lakes, this is the time of year when the Great Lakes really start to become active, right around the end of winter into spring. So as we move further and further along here, I want you to notice this little bit of activity going on here. Gulf of Mexico is starting to get a little bit more active here, and I also want you to notice these red lines here. That's representing warm air. We're starting to really make a push. We're starting to really get a ridge to develop here. And that Gulf of Mexico moisture has started to open up. It's starting to open up here. So we move on. Look at this. Right around Tuesday morning, we're starting to see a little bit of what looks to be a low forming, and then late Tuesday afternoon, we're getting severe weather in the Gulf Coast states again. So, sorry if anyone around the Florida Panhandle that's watching this. I know you don't want to hear this, but you got a little bit more active weather coming your way. So, this moves its way up northward, and then areas like Atlanta, Birmingham, Huntsville, you guys are going to be getting a little bit of rain. So this will move out pretty quick. By late Wednesday into Thursday, it's already out of here. And then we have our next system forming right here over Texas. Kicks up a little bit of rain and snow, but look how far this warm air has gone, according to the GFS. A lot of us that got rain this week, towards the end of the week, a lot of you guys that got snow this week are gonna end up getting rain this week, even towards the Great Lakes region. It's kind of crazy how quick we've warmed up here and how far north this warm air has gotten. So we're gonna move along here. On the backside of it, you might get a little bit of snow, but it's mainly gonna be for you guys in UP and maybe central Wisconsin. Before this thing really starts to develop and wrap around here, you might get some snow in areas like Green Bay, Detroit. Before we know, it's already going to be north of the border, and you guys might not get a lot out of it. Might be some periods of heavy snow, but we'll just have to wait and see. We're already 186 hours out, so a lot can change. We'll have to watch the track of that low in particular. But as we go into as we're looking about 8-9 days out, things start to quiet back down. But we do have another little system trying to form here in the west. This is going to dissipate. We're going to get But see, we're getting a bunch of different low pressures popping up all over the place. So then we get another piece of energy, and this is where things get really interesting. This is 234 hours out, so we're not going to have very much clarity on what's going on here, but to me, what this looks like is potential line of severe thunderstorms here, right around this low pressure. So we'll be keeping a closer eye on this throughout the week, but this is definitely looking like a line of thunderstorms, and it really starts to get its act together further about 22nd, and then we sort of have that line continuing on through Wednesday, and then before we know it, guess who's getting more severe weather? The Gulf Coast. You guys just can't seem to get away from it, can you? So as we move along here, this thing kind of meanders around the Gulf states. We continue to get severe weather. And then this thing does something interesting here. I'm not gonna really I wouldn't take too much heed to this because this is 336 hours out. This low sneaks on to South Carolina here, starts to wrap around, and you get like a little small area. Looks like we could even see what's called a little bit of cold air damming, and we get some snow around the Tennessee Valley, and maybe even making a push towards the towards the Ohio Valley and the foothills of the Appalachians. But like I said, this is so far out we can't even call this credible, and that's the end of the model run here. Of course, there are other models to look at, but we're gonna probably focus more towards what's going to be going on this Tuesday, if we can look out this far. So this is the high-res Euro. On the 18Z run, it always tends to go only 90 hours versus 240. Why that is, I'm not too sure, but we're going to take a look into this and see what differences there are between that and the GFS, and then we have one more model to look at afterwards, the Canadian model. But right now, we're looking at around the midnight time frame again. So we're going to move forward here, pretty much showing the same things that the GFS is showing right now. And we have another piece, and like we said, there's that piece of energy in the Gulf that we were talking about from the GFS, and this becomes a little line of thunderstorms, and it just kind of bullies the Gulf Coast, especially the Florida Panhandle. It's very active times around there. Rain tries to push its way north into areas like Atlanta, Huntsville, and Birmingham, just like before. So there's a lot of agreement with this, and that's the end of this run. And then we're going to look at the Canadian model last but not least and see what it has to offer. This goes out to 240 hours as well. I think we are going to decide to look at this whole model here. So as we move along, we're going to see what looks to be the same thing. All models are in agreement for this storm system to pop up here. This has a moisture shield pushing a little bit further north, maybe even into southern Tennessee, but it doesn't really highlight the severe weather as much. Canadian doesn't have that same kind of high definition contrast that the Euro does, or really even the GFS. But we're going to look further into Friday. That same piece of energy, they have it. The Canadian has something interesting though, how it's pushing a little bit more further to the east. So this looks like it becomes more of a Great Lakes event. Maybe northern Maine, but really it doesn't look like it's going to be a very long lasting one. You still could get some heavy snow out of it though. So we look into the following week. We're about nine days out, and then we have another piece of energy creating another big snowstorm for the UP, Minnesota, those areas, wraps around, and then that's the end of the model here. So there's a lot to keep track of here this week. I'll be happy to get you through it if you guys decide to choose watching my channel. Hopefully you do. But that's all I have for you today. This has been Ty. I hope you guys have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and stay metal, stay safe, and stay warm.